Lulu White was the most notorious madam in New Orleans in the early 1900s. White's high-end brothel offered light-skinned women to wealthy white men. Lulu White owned the famous brothel Mahogany Hall. She was known in the area as the Queen of Storyville and was considered one of the wealthiest businesswomen of her time. The Daily Picayune referred to White as the notorious negress. Around 1897, she moved to 235 North Basin Street, which housed Mahogany Hall, when the municipal ordinance establishing Storyville as a red light district passed. Storyville existed for 20 years. Within Storyville, prostitution was legal. This made Storyville widely known across the country. Storyville became a household name that attracted tourists from all across the country. Storyville was created in 1897 by the city of New Orleans in order to concentrate prostitution in one 10-square block area of the city that could be easily patrolled by police. Storyville was closed in 1917 by order of the federal government to protect nearby naval personnel from venereal disease during World War I. Basin Street was where the high-end brothels were located. These high-end brothels were housed in mansions. Lulu White became a prostitute at a very early age, possibly as a teenager. She cultivated a wealthy client base and amassed a considerable amount of money by the time Storyville was created in 1897. Lulu White built her own mansion on Basin Street. This mansion housed Mahogany Hall. White spent $40,000, which is $1.3 million in today's dollars, on her Basin Street mansion. White built a 4-story towered mansion at 235 North Basin Street that featured a swirling main staircase, marble floors, 15 bedrooms with private baths, 5 parlors, an elevator built for 2 in the latest style, according to advertisements, and walls lined with mirrors. It was filled with glittering chandeliers, art and expensive furniture, and Jelly Roll Morton and other famous musicians regularly entertained at the piano. White was a mixed-race woman. Lulu White was born Lulu Hendley in 1868 on a farm in Selma, Alabama. Her father was white and her mother was black. Over the course of her career, White claimed to be from Jamaica, Cuba, and other West Indian islands. By law, these high-end brothels catered exclusively to white men. Mahogany Hall catered specifically to wealthy white men. The most sought-after courtesans of the Storyville era were the octoroons, young women who attested to be 7/8 white and 1/8 black. A lot of these women could pass for white, and would be considered white by today's standards. The prices at Mahogany Hall were extremely high. In general, wealthy white men had a sexual craving for light-skinned women. To these men, octoroon women may have possessed the socially desirable looks of whiteness. They also inherited the savagery, depravity, and sexual desires falsely ascribed to blackness. Lulu White became a millionaire by providing wealthy white men with light-skinned prostitutes who allowed them to live out a racial and sexual fantasy. The brothel featured women who were billed as octoroons. White described herself and the women who worked for her as octoroons. Lulu White's Mahogany Hall was one of the most famous brothels in the country. Wealthy and influential men from all over the country visited Mahogany Hall. Mahogany Hall was one of the largest and most lavish brothels in Storyville. Each of its 15 bedrooms had its own theme. Mahogany Hall's themes were more creative and upscale than those of its competitors. For example, one room was paneled entirely in mirrors, so that guests could watch the nude women who worked at the brothel dance. Other rooms had theme names like the Congo and the Arabian Nights. Lulu White called her brothel the Octoroon Parlor. She called herself Diamond Queen of the Demi-Monde. There were 40 light-skinned women on site at Mahogany Hall. Mahogany Hall offered more than just sex. Patrons expected to be entertained for the evening, and White was happy to oblige with dancing, singing, and live music from the nascent ragtime and jazz scene. Early jazz pioneer Jelly Roll Morton and Joe King Oliver, Louis Armstrong's mentor, both played at Mahogany Hall. Louis Armstrong's Mahogany Hall stomp immortalized Mahogany Hall.